In supervised machine learning, we operate with a clear map. We take a set of known input features, and we use them to navigate safely toward a well-defined target outcome. But when we remove that target variable, the y to our x's, we enter the realm of unsupervised learning. We are no longer predicting an outcome. We are left staring at a raw, unorganized collection of features, trying to find hidden subgroups without a map. This diagram shows the scale of the problem. If we attempt to visualize the relationships between just 10 variables, we have to calculate the combinations. The math dictates we generate exactly 45 unique two-dimensional scatterplots. Staring at dozens of individual plots yields almost zero insight. Each one holds only a tiny, isolated fraction of the total information. The true shape of the dataset is scattered across all of them simultaneously. To solve this, we need a way to mathematically flatten high-dimensional space.
We need a method to create a low-dimensional representation that retains the core signal of the data, while deliberately discarding the noise. The objective in this environment is not to predict what happens next. It is to discover the hidden geometry of what already exists. Principal component analysis is the tool we use to find that geometry. It scans a high-dimensional data cloud and searches for the specific direction where the observations vary the most. Geometrically, the first principal component is a single line passing through multi-dimensional space. It positions itself to minimize the average squared Euclidean distance between the line and every single data point. It snaps into place as close to all observations as physically possible. In linear algebra, minimizing that approximation error is mathematically identical to maximizing the variance. By fitting the data as tightly as possible, this single axis captures the absolute maximum spread of the information. To capture the remaining variance, we calculate the second principal component. It hunts for the next highest level of variation, subject to a strict constraint. It must be completely orthogonal, or perfectly perpendicular, to our first line. Together, these two intersecting lines define a flat 2D plane. We then take every observation from our original high-dimensional space and project it directly down onto this flat surface. We've mapped our chaotic data into a clean, two-dimensional coordinate system. PCA computes the exact angle that preserves the most information. It mathematically constructs the optimal window through which to view chaotic data. But this optimization has a mechanical vulnerability. Consider a dataset tracking arrests across the United States. We measure occurrences of murder, rape, and assault per 100,000 residents, alongside the simple percentage of the state's urban population. Look at how these variables scale. Because of how it's counted, assault has a massive variance of nearly 7,000. Urban population, measured as a percentage, has a variance of just 200. If we run PCA on the raw numbers, the algorithm gets hijacked by the sheer scale of the assault column. The math blindly chases the largest variance, tilting the first principal component until it almost completely ignores the other variables. We fix this through standardizing our variables. Before running the analysis, we mathematically force every column to have a mean of 0 and scale them so they all have a standard deviation of exactly 1. The towering columns shrink and stretch to equalize. Standardization strips away the arbitrary units, allowing the true correlation between crime rates and urbanization to guide the geometry. Standardization ensures that the resulting geometry reflects the relative variance of the features, rather than the arbitrary scale of their units. Every time we flatten dimensional space, we make a trade-off. By compressing a complex shape into a flat silhouette, we lose some depth. To measure exactly how much depth we're losing, we calculate the proportion of variance explained, or PVE. This tells us the precise percentage of the original data retained by each individual principal component. This scree plot tracks PVE. We look for a sharp drop-off, an elbow, where adding dimensions stops yielding information. In the US arrest data, the first two components explain 62 and 25%. Retaining two dimensions explains 87% of the variance. The goal of PCA is not perfect replication. It is intelligent compression. We discard the remaining dimensions to strip away the noise, leaving only the absolute signal. Because PCA is so highly effective at mapping underlying structures, it provides a secondary utility when datasets break down.
In reality, datasets have flaws. A file corrupts, a patient skips a test, or a sensor battery dies. You are frequently left with a grid containing random, empty voids. The standard response is to delete rows with missing values, but this throws away valid information, skewing your sample. Instead, we use matrix completion. PCA maps deep correlations, allowing us to leverage that logic to calculate and impute missing values from surrounding data. By modeling these latent correlations, PCA provides a mathematically grounded proxy for missing data, allowing us to salvage records that would otherwise be unusable. We live in an era of vast and powerful data, but the records we collect are often incomplete. These missing pieces create empty voids in the lattice of our information, making it impossible for traditional analytical models to function. This rating matrix from an early Netflix dataset shows the scale of the problem. With nearly 500,000 customers and 17,000 movies, 99% of the table consists of missing values. No single user can watch everything. Standard statistical learning methods cannot handle these blanks. If we try to clean the data by simply deleting every incomplete observation, the process erases nearly every row in the table, leaving us with nothing to study. To find patterns hidden in this chaos, we must first find a mathematical way to heal these gaps and restore the structure of the dataset. We solve this through a process called matrix completion. It works because variables in a dataset are rarely independent. Users have similar tastes, and movies share genres. This inherent correlation means the data we do have provides a mathematical outline of the pieces that are missing. The algorithm uses an iterative process to project these patterns across the grid. It looks at the known values in a row or column and uses their average to calculate a guess for the blank space. It repeats this process thousands of times, continually refining its guesses until it systematically populates the entire matrix. The previously empty voids are filled with these predictions, making the dataset whole. By completing the matrix, the algorithm transforms a fragmented, unusable void into a continuous dataset. It is no longer a collection of holes, but a structure that finally allows us to apply the statistical tools needed to find the truth. Even with a complete matrix, the data remains a disorganized cloud of information. To extract meaning, we have to identify distinct subgroups, separating millions of users into specific clusters based on their unique preferences. This sequence shows k-means clustering. It partitions the data into groups, but requires the investigator to guess the number of clusters, the k-value, in advance. As k changes, the algorithm shifts the boundaries, completely changing which observations are grouped together. But organizing this chaos requires an anchor. By choosing a k-value, we force the algorithm to draw aggressive boundaries to separate the signal from the noise. The process begins by dropping random anchors, called centroids, into the data space. These serve as the initial gravitational centers for our categories. The algorithm then measures the distance from every data point to these centroids. Each point is assigned to its closest anchor, creating a distinct geometric boundary that minimizes the variation within that specific group. These panels track the iteration. Once the points are assigned, the centroids recalculate their position based on the average of their new group. They physically shift to the mathematical center of the cluster. The points are reassigned to the new centers. The centroids move again, and the clusters reshape. This cycle continues until the movement stops and the system reaches a stable equilibrium called a local optimum. While k-means successfully flattens chaos into neat, separate categories, these rigid boundaries are limited. They cannot reveal the complex, nested relationships that often exist within real-world data. Most data doesn't exist in flat, non-overlapping groups. It follows a taxonomy, where small subgroups are nested inside larger ones. A simple partition model misses this architectural depth entirely. To find this structure, we use hierarchical clustering. This is a bottom-up approach that doesn't require the investigator to guess the number of clusters before the analysis begins. This 4-panel grid shows how the process starts. Every data point begins as its own isolated cluster. The algorithm then identifies the two most mathematically similar points and fuses them into a single pair. This tree-like map is called a dendrogram. By fusing pairs into branches and branches into a trunk, it reveals the entire dataset's relationships. We see 2 clusters, or 20, just by changing the height where we cut the tree. By growing the structure from the bottom up, the algorithm provides a single unified map, revealing the complete architecture of our data at once. But we must be careful. These unsupervised algorithms are blind. They will strictly follow whatever mathematical rules we provide for measuring similarity, even if those rules lead to a false conclusion. The choice of linkage, the rule for measuring distance between groups, changes everything. If we switch from measuring the furthest points to the closest points, the entire visual boundary shifts, resulting in a completely different tree. Simple technical errors can be just as damaging. If we fail to scale our variables correctly, the algorithm groups data by scale instead of correlation. It produces a tree that is mathematically consistent, but analytically useless. These models can fill the voids of a matrix and map the unknown, but they cannot tell us if the resulting groups actually reflect a logical reality. Unsupervised learning provides a powerful mirror of our data, but it is ultimately the human investigator who must look into that mirror and determine what the image actually means. Unsupervised learning searches for the hidden structure in unlabeled data by translating code into rigid geometric transformations. Consider a raw dataset comparing state crime statistics. We are looking at variables with vastly different units and scales, like comparing the raw count of assaults to a percentage of the urban population. This creates an immediate mathematical risk. Variables with massive variances, like the raw count of assaults, will artificially dominate the model. Without adjustment, they skew the entire geometric representation toward the largest numbers. The engineering solution is standardizing the data. We scale every single variable so they all share a standard deviation of 1 and a mean of 0. This scaling creates a level mathematical playing field. It forces the algorithm to measure the statistical relationships between variables, independent of their arbitrary units. Skip this step, and the geometric model collapses into meaningless noise. Once the data is standardized, we use algorithms like principal component analysis, or PCA. PCA is designed to project high-dimensional data down onto a low-dimensional, comprehensible plane. The algorithm computes derived variables that specifically align with the axes of maximum variance within the dataset. This diagram demonstrates the mechanics. The principal components act as orthogonal vectors, shooting directly through the densest axis of the data's variance. This triggers a physical collapse. The multidimensional cloud precisely compresses flat onto the 2D plane defined by these intersecting lines. This projection deliberately retains the majority of the original information. We can track exactly how much data survives the compression using a mathematical metric called the proportion of variance explained. PCA is a rigid geometric rotation designed to strictly isolate the most meaningful mathematical structures in the dataset. We can apply these low-rank structural concepts to another problem, matrix completion. This allows us to use known architectural structure to deduce missing data points in a grid. This diagram pairs a dataset missing 20 entries with an algorithm designed to fix it. It uses singular value decomposition to isolate the core mathematical fabric. By repeatedly projecting the matrix onto a low-rank approximation, it generates precise estimates for the missing values. The algorithm measures its own progress. It tracks the relative error between iterations and continues cycling until that error falls below a strict mathematical threshold. Missing data imputation relies on the low-rank architecture of the surrounding data. It converts a fragmented grid into a coherent structural model. We can shift from projecting variance to topological grouping. K-means clustering is a method used to physically group unlabeled data based on proximity. To use K-means, the engineer must explicitly predefine the specific number of target clusters before the algorithm runs. The objective is simple. The algorithm seeks to minimize the total within cluster sum of squares by snapping every data point to its nearest centroid. This diagram illustrates a common failure. If K-means executes with a single initialization, centroids get trapped off-center, misclassifying data points. The fix is passing a high initialization parameter, like 20. This forces the algorithm to explore multiple starting points to find the true center. After running all those iterations, the algorithm only outputs the single most mathematically stable topology. K-means is a powerful topological organizer, but its accuracy is tethered to the robustness of the engineer's initialization parameters. When the true number of target clusters is unknown, we use agglomerative clustering. This is a bottom-up approach.
The algorithm continuously fuses the closest individual data points based entirely on their geometric distance. This diagram shows the resulting output, a dendrogram. It is a branching, tree-like structure mapping the exact distance thresholds of every fusion on a vertical axis. The algorithm decides which points to fuse using linkage, the specific mathematical criterion used to measure the distance between point clusters. Single linkage defines distance strictly by the closest individual points. This results in trailing, imbalanced clusters that stack like a skewed ladder. In contrast, complete linkage and average linkage calculate distances across the entirety of the cluster boundaries. Complete linkage forces the creation of tightly balanced spherical clusters. This is the structure preferred in most engineering environments. Clustering algorithms impose structure. Altering a single linkage parameter completely fractures the output topology. We can apply these unsupervised tools to the highly complex NCI-60 genomic microarray dataset. The scale here is immense, 64 unique cancer cell lines defined by 6,830 separate gene expression measurements. The algorithm processes this massive matrix blindly, operating without any clinical labels or ground truth guidance. We start with PCA to compress those staggering 6,830 dimensions down into manageable principal component score vectors. The math holds up. The top few components alone capture nearly 40% of the total variance within the entire genomic space. Even incomprehensibly large datasets contain foundational geometric architectures waiting to be isolated through projection. Now we cluster the newly compressed PCA space, methodically hunting through the geometry for hidden biological groupings. Using complete linkage hierarchical clustering, we methodically build a structure from the cancer cell lines. This diagram demonstrates the final step. A definitive horizontal cut intersects the entire tree at a height of 140 to establish discrete, finalized clusters. The algorithm isolates every single leukemia cell line into its own pure cluster. The breast cancer data, however, tells a different story. The math reveals it is inherently split across 3 structurally distinct subclusters. This clinical categorization was achieved entirely without human intervention, driven purely by the geometry of the data. The outputs of unsupervised learning are not absolute truths. They are mathematically derived starting points that empower engineers to transform raw noise into robust scientific hypotheses.